Hi, my name is Jessica Bettendorf, and this is my final synthesis and reflection presentation. Here are my 5 takeaways from the class. Journaling is a means of self-exploration, decision-making, examining life stages, and diagnosing problems. Some things are so traumatic that there are no words. Part of the brain shuts down. Art therapy allows one to express their thoughts and emotions. Art therapists must be prepared to handle whatever comes, as the arts can bypass the conscious mind. I think that was a really important part or point to make. Trauma makes people want to isolate to feel safe, which only makes things worse. Human connection leads to healing. And from doing assignment 6, I learned that dance movement therapy can be a way for clients to get in tune with their body and their emotions. Can also be a way for a person to de-stress and let go of their fears and worries, as it was for me. Now I will talk about my arts journal. I use my journal to take notes of key themes throughout the readings and videos. I wrote down quotes that stood out to me and resonated with me on a deeper level. I wrote down thoughts, feelings, fears, and emotions that I was experiencing related to my personal life. After reading about traumatized children, I found parts to be particularly triggering, so my journal really helped me to process and work through some of my feelings. And I wrote down creative interventions that I could use with my clients now and in the future. Here is one trauma-informed expressive therapy, EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. It is a cognitive exposure therapy and a strength-based, psychodynamic, and humanistic approach. EMDR combined with art therapy allows children to access different senses by a choice of art material, movement, and their environment. EMDR applies bilateral stimulations, BLS, of the right and left hemispheres of the brain to access the sensory states that are associated with memories from significant or traumatizing events. Here is some stuff on music and grief work. Grief is one of the most complex emotional experiences because the grieving person often experiences a myriad of emotions such as sorrow, anger, guilt, fear, denial, disappointment, and relief, among others. Music can be used to help the grieving person express their emotions and help children understand the concept of death. Music can be used when words fail to convey an individual's emotions. Music can induce a relaxation response, which can be used to help calm people who are preparing for surgery, or it can be used for women who are getting ready to give birth. Humans' innate capacity to move to the beat of the music does not change. We are born with it, and we die with it. I also found that part to be very interesting. Here is another creative art therapy, body maps. Body maps have been used to treat disassociation in traumatized children. One therapist drew a child's body outline, then they filled their body outline to create internal self-portraits. Clients can draw, write, and add objects on a body map. A cognitive behavioral approach to body mapping involves clients drawing a picture of their inside world where their alters live. A body map was used to successfully treat Zinzi, a child who was tortured and raped. On Zinzi's body map, she drew boxes that were filled with threatening memories. Here are some action-oriented and sensory-based therapeutic approaches. First, we have sand trays, which help traumatized children experience self-regulation, self-expression, and learning. Abused children might create sand trays that are dangerous, hopeless, scary, or violent. If the story in the sand tray cannot be overcome, this is a warning sign that something is very wrong. Therapists should look for themes in the sand trays. Next is play therapy, which enhances the child's ability to communicate and process feelings. Therapists can take a non-directive approach, child-centered, or interactive approach. The moving stories method integrates bibliotherapy, sand tray, and play therapy. Stories are told with props in the sand tray, then the child is invited to play. They can use props from the story in the sand tray or other mediums. They will learn to express themselves in a play story. And dance movement therapy, DMT. It could promote brain plasticity and promote learning capacities, healing, and a sense of well-being. The most powerful input into the brain is from the body. Feedback comes from somatomotoric information. The loop of input and output between body and brain is soothing, regulating, and organizing. DMT is restorative and powerful in the context of trauma-informed care. Next is therapeutic storytelling and expressive writing. Describing trauma through writing can allow a client to process an event and gain a sense of control and enhance the speed that they will overcome a traumatic experience. There are many approaches to therapeutic writing and storytelling, including writing in trauma, healing stories, letter writing, writing for healing, self-discovery worksheets, writing for personal development, sentence starters, and creating stories and legends. Next, I will talk about cultural awareness and sensitivity in counseling practice. Cross-cultural psychotherapy is relevant for anyone working with trauma. A therapist who seeks to learn as much as possible about the child's culture may make or break therapy. Clients' cultures are essential to the experience of human connection that supports a positive attachment in therapy. What is relevant in our worldview may not be to another person. Therapists must consider a client's culture, gender, ethnicity, sexual orientation, and religious affiliation when choosing a creative intervention and interpreting the results. For example, one should avoid using Christmas music in therapy if working with a Jewish client. It is also important to remember the trauma-informed practice components, knowing how the mind and body respond to traumatic events, recognize that symptoms are adaptive coping strategies, acknowledge clients' cultural sensitivity to values, perceptions, and worldviews of illness and treatment, and remember that people are survivors and thrivers. Next is neurobiology. The brainstem and cerebellum are referred to as the reptilian brain. The limbic system evaluates experiences from emotional significance. The cortex and neocortex are known as the thinking brain. Trauma reactions occur when the limbic system is activated in the face of a threat and not used in a productive way, putting the individual in survival mode. The energy used for fighting, freezing, or feeling is not used, and the emotions stay in the nervous system. They are not released. The physiology of emotions is complex, and someone can show an emotion without even being conscious of what caused it. But after trauma, the body remembers. Implicit memory stores sensory and emotional components. There is no language. Senses are the memory. Post-traumatic stress reactions could happen when implicit memory of trauma is not in explicit memory storage. Conscious memory, language can describe it. Trauma is stored as somatic sensations and images. It is not available for communication through language, but possibly through sensory means, such as arts, play, and other experiential activities. Next is ethics. Therapists use techniques that they are competent in based on education, training, supervision, and credentialing. They must set goals and keep records in compliance with professional regulations when using creative therapies. When offering a creative modality, the informed consent must include description of the modality, the purpose and goals, the risks, including emotional upset, the benefits, and alternatives. Confidentiality means the client's right to privacy for everything related to their therapy, and it would be breached if the product of a creative modality is intentionally or unintentionally displayed. Artwork should be summarized in the counselor's notes rather than photographed, and therapists should get the client's written consent before taking pictures of their work. Therapists need to be educated regarding diversity and oppression, especially for the populations they are most likely to treat. Seek supervision from colleagues who have experience working with a specific culture. Unless there is no alternative to bartering, therapists must politely refuse. When treating a client who is seeing another therapist, ask the client to tell the primary therapist to get an agreement and coordinate care. And lastly, when stuck with an ethical dilemma, therapists should consult the appropriate guidelines, but also use one's own wisdom and consideration when making a decision, as not every dilemma will be addressed with a clear, black and white code of ethics. Here are my thoughts on the peer check-in process. I thought it was nice being able to connect with my peer, bounce ideas around, and hear a different viewpoint. She had a lot of good insights to offer and helped me to think of things that I previously had not thought of. She also had helpful ideas regarding self-care that I could see myself using in my personal and professional life. Finally, hearing about her successes and struggles was helpful because it made me feel less alone. Now for my personal awareness and reflection from this class. Journaling led to more open and honest reflections of my thoughts and feelings and allowed me to process some difficult things that I have been grappling with in my personal life. Furthermore, the Life Timeline project led to a greater understanding of my strengths and resiliency, seeing how I have evolved and grown as a person. I also really connected with the creative writing interventions and find myself drawn to them. I have also learned how important it is to tailor trauma-informed interventions to match the unique needs of each client. And lastly, here are some counseling skills to use in my professional practice. I really connected with therapeutic storytelling and expressive writing, such as healing stories, letter writing, self-discovery worksheets, sentence starters, journaling, and creating stories and legends. I think these would be great interventions to use in individual counseling and could even be used in a group setting. Also, music therapy, such as writing song lyrics or playing ambient music during sessions, and creating body maps, the self-care plan, life timeline project, bibliotherapy, and EMDR. Thank you for watching. Bye. And here are my references.